Hey, good day, everybody. Welcome back to our Genesis class live from Jerusalem with Rabbi Chaim Goldberg, who's just opened up the Zoom meeting. And I'm joined by my friend Angelica Dumansky, and we're waiting on others to join us in the group. But let's just jump right in and say hello to the Rabbi. Shalom, Rabbi Goldberg. You're live on the air. We're so glad to see you and that you're safe. And you want to give us any update on what's going on in Jerusalem?
I will say a few words and then we will start. Basically, we have a big war. Okay, it's only the beginning. The Arabs are sending against us a lot of missiles from the north, from the south. Basically, it's a big war because also Russia and Iran are part of this war, and they are funding everything. I will explain for a moment, just that you will realize. Russian have a gas link from Russia to Europe, and they're putting also money or putting also gas from Iran, and they're giving money to Iran this way. And Biden, with Netanyahu and with others, they're trying to organize another way to bring gas to Europe through the Middle East. And this is also why Russia is very against the Hebrew state. Suddenly, Russia is very important for them not to kill civilians. After more than a year with a fight, in almost 2 years, fight with those Ukraine. Now suddenly it's very important for them, those people of Gaza. So you understand that it's much more than that. We are preparing ourselves for a long war. It's not going to be a short one. On a personal level, I think there's no family that doesn't have anyone in the army. I'll say most of us have 2, 3, 4 kids in the army. Now we're starting to, it's not to settle because there are a lot of things that we're doing, and we are not in the normal situation. Okay, the schools are not running on the same level. Nothing is running on the same level. Okay, we have a large amount of people. Okay, almost a few 100,000 people that stopped everything and went to the army, and it's for at least 3 months. So we're speaking about a big situation here in Israel, and we don't know if it will continue on to other places, yes or not. And everything here is different. It's not on the same level, and we'll see what happens. I'm
Well,
sure
just
that
know our prayers are with you, and we stand with support. I mean, yeah, we're seeing silly Palestinian rallies here in the West. It's mindless. They're not aware of the situation. They just complainers and demand money, and it's nasty.
It's not only they're not aware of the situation. I think that it's reminding me a bit on the situation. They're really dumb, I will say it like that, because Iran, that is funding all of this and working for all of this, they have a system that those who don't believe like them to be a Muslim supposed to be killed, demolished, whatever it is, and they did it. All those things they did. They raped people, humans. They raped them. Listen, good. After they died, not only in the time after that, and then they scrambled their faces and everything. They did horrible things. I can't even say all of them. I can't even repeat them. And this is what they say about those who don't believe in Allah, just like they believe in. And they took the phone of the Hebrew people and they found their parents in Gaza. And you hear the mother and the father is saying, praise the Lord, praise God that you managed to kill more. Oh, I'm so ashamed that I'm not with you to kill more Jews. Speaking about an insane situation where if it won't stop here, It will be in Europe, it will be in Canada, it will be in the United States, it will be everywhere in the world. It's a we are on the head, I will say, of the narrow to kill this horrible snake. This is life. This is this. I don't know. We don't know. We don't know how it will go, how it will continue. Unfortunately, I know that there is the most disappointing thing, I think, is what's happening in the universities. Because if you think that the universities are open-minded, so at least they need to give 50-50, you know, that this will say their opinion, the other will say their opinions, but it's not like that at all. There's only one thing: the Hamas is right. That's it. And you see how much everything there is a flop. I don't know what to say.
Oh yeah,
Anything
the
else?
universities are so liberal, woke. What do you call it? Relativists, and they don't realize how relativism leads to chaos. And I think the liberals push it because they want the chaos so that people will hand over control to the government. And yeah, they just look for government answer. But relativism just leads to chaos. Whereas if you're on the far other side, it could lead to tyranny. But you know, the chaos is just terrible.
Yes. So let us try to learn and to teach the world a bit different things. I have a question. I don't know if it's maybe I'm asking this not only for the room, but I would like very much, if it's okay, that someone will try to summarize the main points of the things that we're going to learn tonight. I don't know. It could be from the room. It could be from also people that are listening to this on the YouTube. I think that then we will try also to spread this in other ways. The idea that I'm going to teach tonight. Now, I'm going to say that the things that I'm going to teach tonight, more or less, we know them, okay, because we already for a few years. But those are things that we read yesterday in the Parsha, and those are very related things to the things that we are passing with this war. Therefore, I think it's important to remind them again. I prepared something else. It will be next week. We have also, hopefully, we have next week, and we will learn more things next week. But so I'm starting. Okay, I'm starting again. I'm going to do this stage. It's a few stages. I'm going to do this clear. Hopefully, it will be clear. And if someone will send me a summarize of this thing, you know, it will be good. We will organize it and put it on the internet. We will publish it in few languages, whatever it is, all over the world. It's very important things. So with your permission, we will start. Now here it is. I want to start with something that we've learned a few times, and we're going to explain this again. In chapter 4 of Genesis, I said it more than once. The first 11 chapters of Genesis are not speaking about the Hebrew nation, speaking about the whole world. Okay, we see the Hebrew nation is not yet in this world, the first 11 chapters. Now, the first 3 chapters of Genesis, they are not really speaking about things that's happening here. So it's all allegory. It's not an exact thing, okay? For example, I'll give something very simple. The first 6 days that we know that the Bible is saying it was night, it was morning, the first day, okay, one day, or the second day, the third day. But we today, in our experience as human beings, we feel that a day is, you know, when we're going to sleep and waking up. So 24 hours more or less is a day. Okay? Because we, in our, I will say, environment and feeling, is we're going to sleep and we're closing one day. Waking up, we have another day. So we have 24 hours cycle of a day. But in those 6 days, there were no men in this world. He was created only in the 6th day, right? So what exactly are the measurement of time in those 6 days? It wasn't like the measurement of time that we have. So I just wanted to note as a point, okay? The first 3 chapters are speaking about what's happening in heaven. Unfortunately, we don't really have any connection with heaven. When someone, grandfather, God forbid, is dying, okay, you're saying to the grandchild, your grandfather, he went to heaven. What is this heaven? We don't really know. So the first 3 chapters is really a mysterious thing. We need to know it, we need to learn it, we need to understand what exactly the meaning of those words and what exactly God is trying to speak with us in those 3 chapters. In chapter 4, we're starting to speak about the history of this world. Okay, there's a very special word for this thing. The word is toldot. The word of history in English is Genesis. Okay, genealogy thing of who is the son of whom and who is behaving in what way and in another way. And we're starting with a very interesting 2-3 verses that are a bit weird, but are explaining to us, I will say, the structure of family, of what exactly is the position of each part of the family. So if it's okay, Dan, to read the first 2 verses, please.
Okay,
Chapter 4.
Genesis chapter 4, verse 1 and 2. Now the man knew his wife Eve, and she conceived and bore Cain. And she said, I have acquired a man with the Lord. 2. And she continued to bear his brother Abel. And Abel was a shepherd of flocks, and Cain was a tiller of the soil.
Now, usually when we read this, it's, we're reading a story. But it's not a story, because the Torah, the Bible, is trying to tell us message. God is trying to tell us a message through those verses. So let's try to understand this a bit more in a profound way. We learned it more than once, but I'm going to say this again, so it will be clear. It will help us to understand what's happening later on in history, okay? We have here 2 kids, but each one of them have a different mission. Let's explain for a moment the mission of Cain. Adam and Eve got their life from God as a present without any effort, right? Suddenly, God decided to create Adam and Eve. That's it. So now, think about this for a moment. It's the biggest present ever that you can get. Suddenly, they got life. Suddenly, they appeared here. Now, if you think about this more profound moment, you will say that God is giving life and Adam and Eve are receiving life. So mentally, I will say in the spiritual side, they are very far from God. When you love someone, okay, you have a very close feeling with the same connection, okay, with the same thoughts, with the same ideas, you have some sort of a common level of feeling and understanding. But if God is the one who is giving life, and the human being, Adam and Eve, are just receiving life, so we are just the opposite, 2 sides, one away from each other. When Adam and Eve can feel that they're coming to a stage that they're not only receiving life, but also giving life, when they have their son, Cain, they also gave life, not only received life. Now, for them, for Adam and Eve, Cain is some sort of a Messiah. He is bringing them close to God, closer to God. Till now, they were very far from him. Now they're feeling that they're doing something similar to God. They are also giving life to someone else. So in their eyes, Cain is the Messiah. In the eyes of Cain, he is the most important thing in this world now. Nobody else. Nothing else. He is the future of the world. He is the Messiah of the world. He gave something good to his parents, okay? And nobody can disturb him. Nobody can bother him. Nobody can be next to him. I will say it like that. Now let's understand the mission of the other son. Okay? Again, things that we've learned, but it's important to remember them for a moment. The other son, and now we have also something very unique, very hard in the verse, because it's not only saying, and she continued to bear his brother Abel. Why the Bible is mentioning that we're speaking about a brother? We don't know it. Let's take off those two words. And she continued to bear Abel. We know that Abel is a brother of Cain, right? Why the Bible is mentioning that he is a brother? Because this is his mission. His mission is to teach Cain that there are other people in this world. And just like Cain was created in the image of God, also others are created in the image of God. So the mission of the second one in the family is to be the educator for the first one, to learn that the next generation have more than just him, the most important thing in the world. Those are two different missions. The first one, his mission, is to carry on, I will say, to be the king, to be the Messiah, to be the one that is holding the flame to the next generation. And the other one is to be the shepherd. What was his mission? He was a shepherd, to teach, to educate the king, to remember that there are also others around him that are equal to him. Maybe he is a king, but they are equal. He's supposed to give them space. We won't continue on this story, because on the story you can see this also in their behavior, that they are behaving in the same way. Okay? I want to jump for a moment to something that we have read yesterday, and it will explain to us also the situation between Isaac and Ishmael. What we have today, by the way, it's a fight between Isaac, us, okay, the sons of Isaac, and Ishmael, the sons of Ishmael, that we have the fight. The only thing that I have to say is something that we mentioned a few times ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago. Please read verse number 8.
8. And Cain spoke to Abel his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him.
What we have here, okay, we don't exactly know what they spoke about. Nobody is telling us what they spoke about. Fair enough. But we know that Cain rose up against Abel. And this word in Hebrew, our sages are telling us that Abel was much stronger than Cain, and he was on top Cain. And Cain asked him, what are you going to tell to Adam and Eve, our father and mother, what is the reason that you killed me? And Abel didn't realize that it's only a trick. Abel thought that Cain came to a stage of morality like him. And if he is asking this question, just like Abel is not going to kill him, Cain is not going to kill Abel. So he moved aside, and then Cain raised up from the floor and killed Abel. So there is, I will say, a very dangerous situation where the educator thinks that his enemy is on his level of morality. He is giving him all the possibilities to kill him back. If I will say this in our words of today, we gave to the Gaza people more than 30,000 certificates to come inside to Israel and to work every day in Israel and to go back. Those people they were leading, okay, in the terrorist people, and showed them house by house. Here there are 5 people in the family. Here there are 3 people. The people that we gave them the certificates of working in the last 10 years. Just that we will realize it's the same thing. Okay, there are more things that happen there on the same level, that we gave them the opportunity and they used it against us because we didn't realize that they are animals and they're not human beings. Okay, but this is something that we need to understand. Those are two different missions of Cain and Abel. Cain is, I will call it, the leader of the world. Abel is the educator for the leader. Those are two different things. And now let's jump for a moment to chapter 13 with Abraham and Lot. Okay? Why I'm jumping to Abraham and Lot? Because in Abraham and Lot, the situation, Lot is his nephew. The situation is, there's a big, I will say, argument. Who is, I will say, who is going to have the mission of building up the Israelites? Okay? This is a question. And each one of them is saying, it's going to be me. Or the question is, God is going to ask himself, who is going to be the one that from him the Israelites will start? No, it's chapter 13, sorry. We'll go to chapter 13, it's very important. We have a situation where Abraham is coming up from Egypt. And please read verse number 2 for a moment.
And Abraham was very heavy with cattle, with silver, and with gold.
Fair enough. And then we have, now let's read for a moment, verses 5, 6, and 7.
5. And also Lot, who went with Abram, had flocks and cattle and tents. And the land did not bear them to dwell together, for their possessions were many, and they could not dwell together. 7. And there was a quarrel between the herdsmen of Abram's cattle and between the herdsmen of Lot's cattle. And the Canaanites and the Perizzites were then dwelling in the land.
So these, the fight between, again, it's not between Abraham and Lot. It's between their, how do you call this? Herdsmen, those who are shepherds. The shepherds of those two had a fight between them. Okay, let's understand exactly the fight. The fight is related to the Canaanites in the land. So let's see for a moment the exact fight, and you will see that it's a moral fight. Okay, let's read it for a moment. Please read Rashi for that.
Rashi, and there was a quarrel. Since Lot's herdsmen were wicked, and they pastured their animals in the fields belonging to others, Abraham's herdsmen rebuked them for committing robbery. But they responded, the land was given to Abraham, who has no heir, so Lot will inherit him, and therefore this is not robbery. That's a rationalization for sure. But Scripture states, and the Canaanites and the Perizzites were then dwelling in the land, and Abraham had not yet been awarded its possessions.
So we have a situation, and it's a question of moral behavior. Are they allowed to steal, to take without paying or something like that from this land? But while Abraham is still not the master of the land, even though God promised him that it will happen, or not? The Lot, I will say, shepherds, they behaved in an immoral way, while the Abraham shepherds were much more moral, in a moral position of behavior. And God is deciding to continue with Abraham, not with Lot, because of this moral behavior. And let's see what's happening now. Let's read for a moment verse number 8 and 9.
8. And Abram said to Lot, please, let there be no quarrel between me and between you, and between my herdsmen and between your herdsmen, for we are kinsmen. Is not all the land before you? Please part from me. If you go to the left, I will go right, and if you go right, I will go left.
Basically, what Abraham is saying to him, you remember Cain and Abel, the brothers? Read for a moment the Rashi of kinsmen.
Kinsmen, meaning relatives, and according to the Midrash Agadah, Genesis Rabbah 41:6, they resembled each other in their facial features.
He's saying to him, look, remember that we had Cain and Abel? We are a bit similar people. We want to do a different, or we'll call it a conclusion, not on the same behavior of Cain and Abel that one of us is going to die. Let's separate one from each other. Fair enough. Very good, right? Some sort of a solution. Maybe it's not the best solution. The best solution is to be with community together, but they don't have the possibility now. Let's look for a moment what Lot is taking in his decision. Lot is getting the possibility of decision. Let's look for a moment what Lot is taking as a position. Please read verse 10 and 11.
right.
Look, from 10 till 13, please.
Okay. 10. And Lot raised his eyes, and he saw the entire plain of the Jordan, that it was entirely watered before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as you come to Zoar. And Lot chose for himself the entire plain of the Jordan. And Lot traveled from the east, and they parted from one another. And Abraham dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain, and he pitched his tents until Sodom. And the people of Sodom were very evil and sinful against the Lord.
So we see here again, two things. First of all, we see that Lot is going to the place where there is a lot of wealthy
He took the best.
situation.
Yeah, he tried to take the best. Yeah, what
Fair
appeared
enough.
to be the best.
Right. But there's one more point here that is being mentioned. That we're speaking about a place with an evil people. He took the place of the evil people. He didn't took the place of the best people. Okay. It was more important for him all the, I will say, the wealthy side of the thing. And this is what will happen in verse number 14. Verse number 14, God will speak with Abraham after Lot had parted from him. God, who is looking for the behavior of the man, he chose Abraham, and he's saying to him, all the land that you see, it will be yours. So this is verse number 15. So we have here, I will say it like that, Abraham have all the reasons why to get separated from Lot. Lot behaved in an immoral way. Lot preferred the immoral, the evil people, right? So Abraham, he is not anymore in charge of Lot. He doesn't need to have any relation with Lot or any responsibility with Lot, right? I'm right. Till now, I'm right. Everything is fine. Fair enough. Now we are very surprised because in the next chapter, just a moment, it's bothering me here. If we go into the next chapter, we have the first world war in the world. Okay. We have the Amraphel and the Arioch, Elasar, Gdal Omer, Tidal. There are 5 kings. Okay. They did the war. Okay. They waged the war with Bera, Birsha, Shinav, Shem Ever. Those are the names of the kids, of the people here. Just to understand, okay, Bera, the word Bera is evil, okay? Bera is evil. Ra is evil, okay? Birsha is a Rasha, it's also an evil. Shinav, he is hating God, okay? Shem Ever, he's doing some sort of wings to fly against God and to show that he is the most important. So we're speaking about evil kings on one side, and there's also someone very interesting in the first side, in verse number 1. His name is Amraphel. What is Amraphel? Those are 2 words in Hebrew. Amar Paul, he said to someone, he threw someone down there. Let's see Rashi for a moment so we will understand who is Amraphel. Please read this part of Rashi. This is enough.
Amraphel, this is Nimrod, who said to Abraham, fall into the fiery furnace, from Genesis Rabbah.
Yes, okay, so this is the one who threw Abraham to the fire, okay, in Ur Kasdim, in the Chaldeans of Ur. Fair enough. They're doing a fight. They're doing a big fight. It's the First World War that we have. And in this fight, they're conquering all the area of Sodom and Gomorrah. But the most important thing, that after they doing this war, they also took, please read verse 11 and 12.
11. And they took all the possessions of Sodom and Gomorrah and all their food, and they departed. And they took Lot and his possessions, the son of Abram's brother, and they departed, and he was living in Sodom.
Now, they took also Lot. Let me ask you a question. Abraham have any responsibility on Lot anymore? The answer is no, right? Lot decided to separate from him. Lot behaved differently than him, right? And here is a big surprise. The big surprise is that when the refugees, how do you call it? Fugitives, right? Came and told Abraham, the Hebrew, you have Abraham the Hebrew, see? That Lot was that Lot was taken. Please read verse number 14.
14. And Abraham heard that his kinsmen had been taken captive, and he armed his trained men, those born in his house, 318, and he pursued them until Dan.
And Abraham is managing, he is winning. But before that, we need to understand 2 points. First of all, we need to understand Nimrod, okay, this king that threw Abraham. Now think about this for a moment. Nimrod was the king of the world in Babylon, the old Babylon place. And somehow someone told him that Abraham is against him, that Abraham believes in one God and he doesn't believe in Nimrod. And they had a very big debate, very famous debate. And Nimrod threw him to the fire, and Abraham went out. Abraham wasn't harmed at all from this fire, and Abraham was living. What happened there? What our historian Midrash saying that all the people of the world took him down from his kingdom, and he was very upset and disappointed because of Abraham. So he was seeking, he was looking for him. He used all of his, I will say, army to search for Abraham. Suddenly someone came and told him, we saw Abraham in Sodom and Gomorrah. They didn't really saw Abraham. Who did they saw? They saw someone that is very similar to Abraham. They saw Lot. And this is what he did. He went and conquered Sodom and Gomorrah and took Lot. He was sure that he took Abraham. Okay? Now, the most amazing thing here is not that he was so, strong with his allies to take Lot. The most amazing thing is that Abraham suddenly felt responsibility for someone in his family. Someone that two years ago or 4 years ago was against him. Someone that had a fight that almost came to a situation like Cain and Abel, that someone is going to get killed. And Abraham is running after them. And Abraham is managing to conquer and to restore all the possessions and everything, and also to take Lot, his brother. Look on the words here. Lot, his brother. He is treating Lot like he is a brother with him. They have some sort of a brotherhood. This is Abraham. Abraham here is passing some sort of, we'll say, of a test in front of God. Does he really believe in the brotherhood mission? Does he really have on his shoulders the understanding that we need to teach the world that we can live together? And if the evil is coming, we need to fight the evil and to restore those who got captured and whatever it is, and to defeat all the badness in the world, even if it's going to cost some sort of of life of others. But this is the right thing to do. We need to teach the world that we can live together and to be against the evil and against the bad. And Abraham is managing. And because Abraham is managing, the next thing that will happen is that everybody are going to declare him as the king of the world. It's Rashi. It's written down in the verse, and I'm going to show this in Rashi for a moment. Okay, just a moment. The king of Sodom came out towards him. Okay, and they all came to the valley of Shaveh. Shaveh is they're all together. Okay, so please, Dan, for a moment to read these parts. However,
The Valley of the King.
the
Onkelos
Midrash.
renders the king's
No,
race course. The race course
no,
was 30 rods long and was designated for the king to play there. The Midrash in Agadah, however, explains that it was a valley where all the nations concurred and crowned Abraham over them as a prince of God and as an officer.
Why is that? Because those people realized that Abraham is storing inside him I'm calling this the brotherhood mission. He is not a king as a king of, I'm controlling everybody. I'm going to defeat everyone against in front of him. He's taking responsibility as the brotherhood mission to bring the world to a place where we're going to defeat the evil and to bring only good to the world. And this is why everybody accepted him as Prince of God, okay, as the officer, okay? Prince of God, the meaning of this, God who created all of us, there's someone here who is fighting. He is willing also to take risk of his life to bring this mission that we are all can live together with this togetherness in the mission of God, because we all have the image of God with us. So this is I will say the main thing that is happening with Abraham and Lot, and this is where Melchizedek, who is the son of Shem, okay, that was Shem, okay, the son of Noah, he was the prince. Shem replaced Sheth replaced Abel, and Shem was underneath Sheth, okay. So Shem also had this mission, and now they are all accepting that Abraham is going to lead this mission of brotherhood for the world, to bring everybody to become together with this big togetherness, that we can have this mission of being back together, all of us. Now we're starting to realize what's happening here. Let's jump for a moment, and it's very important also to see this for another. I want to jump. We know that Abraham now will have two kids. One is Ishmael and the other one is Isaac. So let's jump for a moment. If I remember correctly, it's chapter 17. If not, we will jump more. Okay, this is where he's doing the circumcision. Then we have 18 and 19 for the Sodom and Gomorrah. And then we have the story this is in chapter 20. This is where Isaac is being born. Okay, fair enough. And then in chapter 21, we have a very interesting situation. After Isaac is born, we have this a very interesting situation. Again, we have two kids, right? One is the oldest one, where Abraham already asked in chapter 17 that he will leave Ishmael, and God is saying to him, okay, Ishmael will leave. And then we have the second one. What is the mission of the second one? What we said, the mission of the second one is to teach the first one the brotherhood mission, right? And then we have in verse number 9, please read for a moment, verse number 9.
9. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, whom she had borne to Abraham, making merry.
Read also verse number 10.
And Sarah said to Abraham, drive out this handmaid and her son, for the son of this handmaid shall not inherit with my son, with Isaac.
Let's see for a moment let's see the explanation of Rashi. What exactly is this thing making Mary that was so upsetting Sarah that they can't live together? She's deciding this is it. Take out this son outside from this home. It was hard for Abraham, but let's see for a moment Rashi. Okay, so I'm jumping for a moment, adding Rashi, and we will see for a moment what Rashi is saying.
Yeah, that's a very hard request, no doubt. Making
Okay.
Mary, an expression of idolatry, as it is said in Exodus 32:6, and they rose up to make merry. Another explanation, an expression of illicit sexual relations, as it is said below in 39:17, to mock me. Another explanation, an expression of murder, as it is said, let the boys get up now and sport before us. So it's deviant.
We're speaking about three very hard, I will say, evil things that are not allowed, also not for Noahide, not to kill, not to worship idolatry, not to do immoral sexual behavior. But then we have another thing that is happening here. Okay, please read this one. He won't inherit anything with my son, with Isaac.
From Sarah's reply, for the son of this handmaid shall not inherit with my son. You learned that he would quarrel with Isaac regarding the inheritance and say, I am the firstborn and should take two portions, and they would go out to the field, and he would take his bow and shoot arrows at him, as it is said, like the one who wearies himself shooting firebrands, etc., and says, am I not joking?
So we have here a situation where the Ishmael is throwing, what exactly is this throwing?
Arrows.
Come on.
Arrows.
No, they're throwing all sorts of missiles, okay? In those days, it was arrows. Today, it's missiles, okay? We're speaking about him trying to kill Isaac. Remember Cain and Abel? The same thing now with Ishmael and Isaac, trying to kill him. And he's saying, I'm going to inherit this land. You need to go out from here. And this is why Sarah is saying to him, to Abraham, it won't work. The mission of Isaac, he needs to be separated from Ishmael. Ishmael needs to go away from this land. Ishmael needs to go away from our family. Again, we're coming back to the same situation where the firstborn have some sort of, I will say, responsibility, or is giving to his parents, he's becoming to his parents some sort of Messiah, that they are also giving life, not only receiving life. Fair enough. But the second one, who must have, I will say, the brotherhood mission to teach the first one also that everybody in this generation is in the image of God. There's always, in Genesis, there's always some sort of a question if it will happen. Here we have the interference of Sarah, that she's saying, take out this boy outside from us. And this is how Isaac will continue with his mission to the whole world that we saw also with Abraham. So again, I'm saying again, it's not the first time that we are learning this principle, but it is very related to the things that we have today in our world of today. And this is one of the things that is amazing to see. While the people in Gaza had all the opportunity to build up a place like Singapore or like Italy, where they will be able to live with I will say, on the shore, with accepting all the time tourists, from all over the region. And instead of that, the only thing that they had in their mind is to burn, to kill, to steal, to do all those bad things without anything that is giving life. While the Hebrew people also did mistake, okay, just like Abel, they did mistakes. But now we're standing up, and we're going to defeat this, I will say, evil, because we have a message to the world that we have the possibility to defeat the evil and to live together in this world, all of us. This is the main point I wanted to mention tonight. Next, we will continue about something very important about Abraham, hopefully. Rabbi Shmuel, welcome. A bit,
Thank you.
Yeah. It was clear. I hope it was clear. Angelica, I see Lisette also. Oh, Anna, how are you doing? Yes, please. Rabbi Shmuel, you want to say something, and then we'll give them also time
Yeah, I
to
think
ask.
so. I'd like to speak, if in this time, a little bit more optimistically and positively, not in any way critical on what has been said. And I certainly agree with every word the rabbi had said. Just want to take it from a different perspective. I think the insight in both in portion of last week and the forthcoming portion that we're getting to actually gives the women a little bit of a bonus. Sarah, both towards Hagar and towards Ishmael, she sees a dimension which Abraham is less involved in. Because you have to understand, Abraham is an epitome of being kind. The beginning of the portion in Genesis 18, he goes out of his way, even though he just went through a circumcision at the spring chicken age of 99, 8 years of age, to run out to accept guests and to do everything for them, is not something which is classical. And the chapter right after that, his nephew Lot also has guests that come to him, and the person also invites them in. But there you see the big difference between. Lot already, last week, there was a feud between his shepherds and Abraham's shepherds, and the issue money. That Lot had claimed that he is the natural heir of Abraham, because Abraham and Sarah are barren, they don't have any children. And Lot's father Haran had died already, as mentioned in Genesis 11. The natural heir of all that is me. When Hagar had her baby Ishmael, God said in Genesis 16 that his hands are going to go everywhere. He is the epitome of theft. Theft is the opposite of being kind. Kind in sharing with other people is taking something that you have and giving it over to others. And a thief takes something that doesn't belong to him and takes it over to his possession. Now, don't kid yourself. Lot was hospitable, and Ishmael also was raised in Abraham's home. And no doubt, and it's seen till this very day by the Muslim population, by the Bedouins in particular, that they tend to be hospitable when you are invited to them. But that doesn't mean that they're going to remain that way after you leave their house. It's an irony that you need sometimes a woman's insight to actually see deep down how authentic that person is acting, because she often will see not only the acts that are being done, but what are the emotions and the motivations behind that behavior. Now, in Sodom, the city that in this portion will be overthrown with sulfur and fire, the Talmud even says that they were not actually stealing a lot. They simply were not willing to share any of the wealth that they had, and they developed a system of that way. And the ethics of the fathers is even a certain legal standard called Sodom. I can tell you a true story, which I imagine that Collins and Anwar would probably actually be familiar with. I worked for over 5 years in South Africa, and I was there when the power was transferred over to Nelson Mandela from the National Party that had apartheid there for 40 years. Now, I was born in a small city called Chicago, Illinois, a small town I'm sure you heard of, little place with about 7 million people in the greater city. And the fellows were saying to me, you know, Rabbi, you guys had plenty of racism where you were living. I said to them, you're right, although you don't remember it, I do. But there's one difference. And in Chicago and in LA and certainly in southern United States, that was the practical practice. That was how people operated. But there never was a legal system there which made segregation by law. In South Africa, it was for 42 years the official policy of the country. And that's what the rabbis criticized by Sodom, that they developed a system of being greedy, the exact opposite of Abraham. And our women, who often have a better insight into people's motivations, she was able to see that even though Ishmael and Lot were both people that had a dimension of being partially kind, as Rabbi Goldberg so beautifully showed, they had the evil side and the sexual desire at the same time happening. Abraham, when there's a famine, he goes with Sarah to Egypt, and after a short time, they're starting up with Sarah, and he has to expel them from the country, king, because as the commentaries bring there on the spot, there was no way to control the people there from not getting involved with her. And that's something that's so barbaric and so insensitive. That's what I think what's so special about our people is the sincerity of their kind behavior. It's not just a written law, it's a way of life. It's the dynamics that we seek. When the whole world now sees how cruel certain people can be, it's without the pictures, they wouldn't even believe that it's possible. But to me, I don't like seeing these pictures too much, not because they're dreadful only, because it doesn't surprise me. I've been feeling this way virtually since I've been born. It's just now so obvious to the entire world. And today, if you don't show a picture, it doesn't happen. But the insight of the Jewish ladies has always seen that from the beginning. And therefore, Sarah makes it very clear to Abraham that Ishmael is not going to inherit with Isaac because it's going to be counterproductive for Isaac's development. I don't care that you have a son from Hagar. You can raise him and look after him. That's your business. But he's not going to be with my son, because if it is going to be with my son, it's going to be horrendous. You know that well. You yourself separated from your nephew when you saw that he goes in bad behavior. Yes, you saved his life later on, but when you saw that he was acting unethically, you kindly asked to separate from him. And I'm asking you to separate from this child who's going to become a violent person, and he's going to use the religion in that direction. And that's something that sometimes people don't see that up front. And I think that's one of the beautiful messages of the portion, that when you're trying to be kind, it's got to be a matter of authenticity. It's got to reflect your natural behavior. And anybody does less than that, that's in the minimum hypocrisy. Usually it's worse, because when you see people, and I hope you understand this point, I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but when you see people in the external way seem to be kind and then they stab you later on, you start to lose your faith in other people. Because of people that for years, especially some of these fellows here, by the way, I don't, what? Dan, I don't know if, I'm not even sure you know, but the two Israeli women that were released from hostage were women who paid, listen to this, paid for cancer patients in Gaza to be treated in Israel. Those what these two women did. They almost killed them anyhow, don't get me wrong, without the pressure that was made. But they personally paid and raised funds for oncologic cancer patients from Gaza to be treated in Israel. And that's what they received back. You understand? So officially, they have some idea of being supposedly a 2% humane. But the hypocrisy is what disturbs me, because I know what they're like, but the world doesn't see it that way, because they show only a certain part of it. And it's so hypocritical. That's what's disturbing.
Yeah, I've had my run-ins with shady characters, and it's like a a bag of worms. You don't know what you're going to get, right? It's it's untrustworthy behavior. There's no consistency, no integrity. Their character's undeveloped and deficient for sure, and sad to say, but a lot of people are maladaptive in that way. We see it all over social media. They're just derogatory. That life is all about them and nobody else, and they have no ability to make space for anybody else. And I think with the Rabbi Goldberg's lesson, you see when you give space, sometimes they just turn against you, right? Shady.
I'm not sure it's that much in British Columbia, but I can tell you from friends of mine who are chaplains, students of mine, chaplains in British and US campuses, at the moment, the amount of anti-Semitism going on there, I'm not talking about in the Middle East, there is very up to date now. I'm talking about real now, these days, literally. There have been swastikas over many of the synagogues, and they've been trying to keep it quiet because I don't want to make more trouble out of it, but this is happening in North America right now. And this is under a Democratic.
I grew up with a lot of motorcycle related gang type people, and I've seen my share of anti-Semitic tattoos, and just the whole attitude is ultra shady, and try to outgrow that and make your life impactful in this world, and there's a lot of things that work against that, and unless we have the light of Torah, what's our only hope? Unless Hashem gives us understanding, we people tend to act like animals. It's sad, but I think that's what Sarah was seeing in Ishmael for sure, in those three behaviors to send him out. I mean, that's a big request. I mean, to ask a father to send out one of his offspring, it's definitely not an easy thing.
Abraham says to the Philistines that if you're not God-fearing, you'll kill me, because you will not commit adultery with a married woman, but in 5 minutes you can make her a widow. Your practice is not to have intercourse with a married woman, but you can make her a widow within 5 minutes, and then you have no second thoughts on the matter at all. The same thing Abraham said to her in chapter 13 when they went to Egypt. When they will see you, how attractive you are physically, they're going to kill me and keep you alive. They won't be with you while we're married, but they'll make sure that we won't be married. They don't have any second thoughts about it.
Yeah, deviance seems to know no boundaries, and it's always trying to find its way around, and always views matters like a Philadelphia lawyer, and looks for loopholes, and it's just nasty when we see the kindness that Israel has shown, like giving the land of Gaza, as Rabbi Goldberg mentioned. It was beautiful land. They could have made it into tourist resorts, beautiful beaches and gardens, and they could have made it into whatever with all the funding that was given to them from around the planet. But instead, they take that money and they build bunkers, and they build storage facilities, and stockpile weapons, and their heart attitude was to cause harm from the get-go. And I don't think the world sees the whole of the matter. I'm in support of totally cutting the head off the snake per se, and just ending the matter finally.
I don't know where all the feminist organizations disappeared with the amount of atrocities done towards women in the last 3 weeks in these places. Where does anybody say anything? I mean, the atrocities, where are they? They're supposedly supposed to be feminine and considerate and trying to protect women's rights. I mean, I don't want to go into stories that happened there. Where are these people? I don't know. Can't figure it out.
I got a question. What about, I was thinking about Saudi Arabia. There's a couple of things that people I was listening to from there. and that they agree that Israel's land is Israel's land, where they are to be. They agree, but they also want to help. This is what I'm getting. Now, I'm weighing it, and I'm saying, okay, there can be a positive in this. Or is there something that you have to rethink?
It's a good question. First of all, good evening. I saw that Bart came inside, and also Angela and Mike. Good to see you. We started an hour earlier. I don't know. They had done published it
Sorry.
an hour earlier. No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We have it on the YouTube and everything. Fair enough. I will say it like that. There is, if we're searching inside the Bible, in Genesis, in the book of Genesis, we see that Cain and Abel started a conversation, but we don't know exactly what they spoke. Okay, he tried to speak. We don't know if they spoke what they spoke. We have a lot of we have a conversation between Abraham and Lot. We have a conversation there. We have also conversation between Joseph and Judah, the two brothers that have also a fight. We have conversations between Esau and Jacob, brothers who had fights. We don't have any conversation between Isaac and Ishmael. We don't have any conversation in the Bible at all, nothing. They never spoke one with each other. And the reason is very simple, because who was the mother of Isaac? She was the main wife of Abraham, Sarah. Who was the mother of Ishmael? She was the mother of the servant. So Ishmael is the servant. He is not a master. Even though he was born first, he is a servant. And at the moment that Ishmael will acknowledge Isaac, he will acknowledge also his stage. Therefore, he doesn't want to speak with him. The only thing that he wants to do is to kill him. Okay? If he won't be there, he will be the one to inherit Abraham. So they're not speaking. And what we see now, we're dealing with something, Rabbi Sherky and me, and with few experts in the Arabs, we're dealing with something, but it's very hard now to say exactly what we're doing, especially that we didn't finish the war yet, okay? But the only thing that I will say is that we know that at the end of history, and it's also written down in the Bible, and it's also hinted in the Bible, and our sages are telling this, that at the end of the history, Ishmael will acknowledge that the main, I will say, thing is the Hebrew way, and he have a very important role, but it's secondary. By the way, he doesn't have any idolatry. He doesn't. The truth is, I'm going to tell you something very interesting. He doesn't need to do the pledge, okay, like Christian people. He doesn't need to do that. People from the Arab community who believe in the Muslim beliefs, they don't need to do the pledge. They need to do something else, not the pledge, because they're not worshiping idolatry. They're worshiping the one God. And we have today, I will say, the beginning, in this Arab Saudi and other places, we have the beginning of Arabian people who are starting to speak with us and to acknowledge I will say, the main stage of the Hebrew people and the stage of the Arabian people. It's very complicated. It's very interesting. We're really in the beginning. I think that we have today, because of this war, we have the possibility of changing a lot of things, because also a lot of Arabs, I will tell you something that people don't really know. Inside Israel also, there is some sort of a interesting situation where a lot of Arabs realizing that they prefer to stay under the Jewish, I will say, authorities, and not to be part of this horrible I will say, Islamic fundamental way of thought and behavior. So people who are against the Hebrew state, now they're speaking, no, we're not like them. We don't want to be like them. We prefer to be under you. So the beginning of the discussion is starting. It's only the beginning. With God's help, we will continue on, because just like we're doing this big mission of the Noahide, okay, in the Christian world, we'll do the same. We'll continue on also with the Muslim world. We're going to do this. We're going to unite all of the world together, not only the Christian and the Jews, or the former Christian and the Jews. So we're working on this also. How is it? How it's going? It's all in the beginning. We will continue. It says, in the TV show, to be continued.
I just see all of that happening. I see that beginning part happening. It's maybe a slow thing, but I've been listening to a lot of Arabs who are thinking different, and from Saudi Arabia, and I'm like, oh, well, this is a beginning of something. So, yeah, be encouraged.
And they need a lot of courage. We have in Israel, we have few Noahide Arabs, and they're very afraid. They're afraid. In the last 3 years, they're very afraid. When we meet them, sitting down with them, we're saying to them, oh, let's take a picture. No, not a picture. I want my head still on my body. No, we don't want any pictures. They're very afraid. But we have.
Yeah, for some of them, they see it as a complete conversion, isn't it?
No. They don't need to do conversion.
They're simply very concerned. It's very dangerous for them.
It's very dangerous. They don't need to do any conversion.
I mean, I'm very happy that you think Saudi Arabia will be helpful, but you have to realize that within the Muslim world itself, there's a huge gap between the Sunnis and the Shiites, and therefore Saudi Arabia and Iran are on two sides of the picture. It's not so simple. They don't necessarily do it out of love towards us. I got a lot of internal hatred. I'm a little bit less optimistic about it in the short term.
But Hashem is in control. Hashem is in control. If you keep that always in mind, He's in control. And yet He gives us wisdom and knowledge to go forward. You have to stand. I wish I was in Israel now. Like, absolutely. I wish I was there. But I'm not. And so I will come. But it's I don't know. Truth always will stand, no matter what. And there is a question I've got. Does wickedness have to come to a fullness?
No.
I'm not sure about that.
It's what they call $1 million question. But at least in the 20th century, you had 2 world wars that cost the lives of 80 million people. I don't know. I hope this century will be better than that. Let's hope. I'm not sure. I hope so.
We all hope so. we don't know if it will stay only a local problem or if it will be a bigger one. I think when we started this evening, I said that one of the things the world started to speak about a peace agreement between the Arab Saudis and the Israelis, and it's part of a very larger project of bringing gas to India and to Europe through the Middle East and through the Arab Saudi and the Israeli with the United States. And also Biden declared it. But we need to realize that this is part of a fight against Russia that is helping also Iran with the gas that they are bringing to Europe. And for them, it's a threat. This is one of the reasons why they started this war. And this is also explaining why Biden suddenly brought here to the Mediterranean area 2 big ships, okay, with a lot of ammunition and all those things. So it won't start a big war, because everybody realized that we're speaking here about something much bigger than just the Hamas and the Israelis. But it's a question between evil, because the Iran people, it's also an evil. The Russian, I don't need to explain even to express how much it's evil. Okay, you know that part of the ammunition that the Hamas terror people had, they had ammunition from South Korea. Okay, so we're speaking about few places that are very evil places, and this is the fight. So it's starting here, small thing. With God's help, it will stay small, but we don't know. We don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, lately, Rabbi, I've been reading Aram Kal's Da Tevunot, and I believe he explains evil as deficiency, and clearly spells out where the deficiency lies and the shortfalls, and humanity needs to see and clearly understand where that behavior is deficient from a true human perspective. And I think that that's where the light of Torah shines, the strength of Hashem, so that people can see the opposite of the deficiency, that humanity can be more and live like brothers without the deficiency or the maladaptive practices, and flushing that behavior needs to be prevalent in people's minds, that what is thought of as wickedness is a deficiency in themselves. It's a character flaw, not just character, but a behavioral flaw, and it causes mass deficiency in the planet. And I know that the light of Torah and all the mitzvot that the Jewish people do, is intertwined with godliness landing in this world. It's got to have connected threads, and that connected thread's got to have some practical way of functioning in this world. And when people truly grasp how the beauty of Torah enables us to live a morally upright life and what truly is righteous, the world becomes a better place when you function that way and eclipse a deficient lifestyle, and all the harm and hurt and negativity that's out there. It's all due to human deficiency, not deficient in capability or potential. But people got to turn the corner on that and start to live more righteous.
Yes, this is true.
Yeah, just a little observation. Rabbi was saying that the people in Islam, they don't serve, they have a monotheistic religion. But I also wonder, when they slaughter people in the wickedness, they shout and say incantations to their God. So I get confused, the kind of God they shout those incantations to, and why the Jews still believe that the God that the Islam follow is monotheistic and it's not wicked or whatever. So I get a bit confused when you say that.
The answer is very simple. There is some sort of, I will say, I don't remember exactly his name. In the 1400, there was a string, or say something that went out from the Islam, from the main Islam, I will call it like that. And it was very fundamental a way of thought and behavior. And there is a group who believe that everybody is supposed to believe in God in their way, and if not, they need to kill him, to demolish him, to to do everything that he won't be in this world. Now, most of the, I'll say, of the religion, of the Islam religion, don't believe in this way of thought, but there is a group that do believe in this, and this is what we see with Iran, and this is what we see with the Hamas. Let me see if I can find it in straight ahead. I'm not sure that I will, but I need to find the exact name of this person. I need to find it. Just I won't find it straight ahead. Let me see. Maybe I will find it somehow in this way. Or can I do the history? Just a moment. Maybe I'll find it here. Just a moment. Oh, just a moment. Let me see if I'm finding it.
Luana, you have your hand up. Do you want to ask a question while Rabbi's looking?
Yeah, so from my side, it was just to say I kind of had similar inclinations to Bart previously, in that I always struggled with the belief or the perception that they were worshiping, in Islam they were worshiping the same God. But I mean, from what I recall, that seems to be the general consensus amongst the rabbis. And so I think what has been the problem is that there's been, I guess, internally within the faith, there's been issues where I guess some Muslims have been considered us to be worshipping the same God. And they've made those statements, and then that's what's been magnified. And so that's created a general perception that it's a distinct deity. And that's one of the things I've struggled to manage to shake, because obviously, I always try my hardest to accept the positions of our rabbis who have obviously studied these issues to a much greater degree than ourselves. And so it's hard sometimes not to get swept up when you hear some of the stuff that's taking place and it's attributed to a certain deity. And obviously we know the nature, well, we don't know the essence of our deity, but we understand the characteristics do not match up with what is being portrayed, in Islam.
Yes, 100%.
And so bridging that gap is where the difficulty has been, certainly for myself. But I'm much more comfortable now than I was maybe 5-10 years ago. But it's always a challenge every now and then, especially when you have events like we're seeing currently, and that just makes you doubt it on I guess temporarily.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, you're more than right. Thank you very much. This is it. You see this? Ibn Taymiyyah.
Even Tamiya.
I sent the link also. Collins, you need to read it. It's a horrible way of thought. I don't know how they're saying this with the words of God, but this is, I will say, the roots of ISIS. This is roots of the one with the twins in the United States. It was Al Qaeda. This is also the roots of the Hamas. These are the roots of evil. You can read it. It's hard, but someone needs to do the dirty work and to demolish them, to wipe them off the earth. This is the only thing that I have to say. I'm sorry again, Angela and Mike, and also Bart, because so Collins, we started an hour earlier. Next week we're going to be all of us together at the same time, because you're also going to move the clock, so you can catch the things that we spoke earlier on the Zoom.
Yeah, that's my bad.
We-
I didn't account for the daylight savings in Israel, and I announced that I'd be going live in an hour, and Rabbi was sending me a text right about the daylight savings, and he agreed to come on an hour earlier for him. But that's this happens a couple times a year when the daylight savings switches is very, very tough when it's at different times all around the planet. Like I had meetings last weekend, and they'd already switched in Australia, and it was nobody was aware of it, and the Australian people were left out of a meeting because it started an hour early, and we don't mean to leave anybody out. I always advertise when I'm going live within an hour, but it's worked out on social media. I mean, we've got more than 12 and a half hours of view time already on YouTube for this session. So, it's good to see, and hope everybody out there is enjoying it.
Actually, our time switched today in the UK. So we had to adjust several activities. So that's what affected us, I think.
Hopefully next week we're going to
next week
right?
we switch. Yeah, and in the spring we do it before Israel, and so it's tough to know if they do it after us or before us. I mean, year after year after year, unless we're in direct communication. And I tried to stay in touch with Rabbi Goldberg. I sent him a message just before Shabbat, but I know that he's got a 10-hour time difference, and I didn't hear from him till the next day after Shabbat ends, and I don't want to send a message.
No, hopefully next
answer.
week we'll have a meeting. Everything will be okay. Be prepared. We're going to learn more things, new things. Not yes, fair enough. We will see.
Angela, Mike, anything you guys want to add? Lisette, so good to see you. Always. Any comments before we wind down?
I would like to say that every time we're facing something different, Jews are teaching us that there's no guarantee, and we need to learn from what we're living. And I never thought I was going to learn so much from this experience that the Jews are having, and what is happening in Israel, and how much it's changing the whole world. And I think that telling yourself the truth is very important. It's something that I'm learning with this situation. And it's not a matter of being fanatic. It's a matter of understanding what is really happening. And it's sad. It's very sad that sometimes, like us, we say we do it too. We victimize ourselves, and that gives us the right to harm others. So I think it's a repeated action now in bigger dimensions with the people from Hamas, and how much they love to be the victim. And it has a lot to do with telling yourself truth, admitting the truth. It's very important. And I think that as a Noahide, it's very important for us to tell ourselves the truth. Otherwise, we cannot be just, we cannot be fair. So I think this is a big lesson that we're learning. And I wish all the best for Israel. God knows that I'm praying, and many people here are asking me, hey, what's happening? And on the other hand, I'm kind of happy because the Friday when I went to the Judaica to buy the bread, I always go on Friday to buy the Shabbat bread. And when I got there, I saw these two giant soldiers at the door, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't know. I couldn't see the Dominican Republic flag in their uniforms, and then I identified them and I said, oh, okay, they're Dominicans. And so when I got inside, I said, what's going on? And they told me, you know, the president sent these people to protect us, just in case. I felt good. And I asked one of the Jewish guys that is always there helping, and I said, what can I do for you? He said, you're doing what you have to do. You're studying to be a Noahide and understanding, and this is what we need. Spread the news. And so I felt very happy that I am here for that too. And that's all. I wish you all a good weekend, that we can have good news, very good news.
Yeah, and it's
Amen.
important that we all stand behind Israel wherever you are located. You can stand in support and not let anti-Semitism rise. It's just, yeah, it's deficient for sure. Bart, you got any comments?
Well, I've been listening. It's important to find out the truth, to hear the truth. I've the impression that most people are not aware that they are on an anti-Semitic course, because they are on a course set by the press and by some groups, and most people just follow this course. They take it for granted or for truth or whatever.
Uninformed.
Yes, and they just follow. And they are not aware that their way of speaking, the way of dealing with what is happening is anti-Semitic. That is that's the impression I have. By the way, it was in the press today here that Iran has said officially that they have no interest in intervening directly in the war. They don't want to aggrandize the war or make it more international. That's not in their interest, to say. I don't know if they are honest, but I got my thought is that they are afraid because the Americans are there, and they are beginning to take care of what they are doing. But that's my personal thought. But anyway, they have said it. So that's the only thing. So
Well,
for the rest,
that's good they said that, but are they speaking out of both sides of their mouth? You know, saying one thing and doing another.
We don't know.
Covert
We don't
behavior.
know. They admit that they support Hamas, but they have no interest in intervening directly, they say. So for the rest, I think
just supply weapons, right? And call that not direct intervention.
Yeah, but for the rest, I think it's very important for us as Noahides to take our lives as Noahides very seriously, to pray, to study, to be an example of what we should be, and I think that's for this moment the only thing I see for myself that I can do. So that's my comment.
Well, thank you, Bart. Always appreciate your input. It's the best thing we can do is live out the wisdom of Torah that we're aware of, and search for more, and let Hashem, penetrate your life, your mind, and your heart, and let your actions flow from there. And be honest, and hold your head high with integrity, and wherever you are and whatever you do, and it can affect the world and make it a better place.
There's one more thing that we can do also, and I hope that you will do this also for us. I'm going to send it. Will take me 2 or 3 days from now, but we're going, not me, from the Noahide World Center, we're going to send more and more material of things that are teaching okay, I will say the good side, what's happening, and hopefully to spread it over on all of the social platforms, and also these from time to time also to some of the things also to do some translations and to spread it not only on the Noahide platform but also on other platforms, because we need that the world will know what's happening. I got this morning, I must tell you, it was really shocking for me. Someone that is in contact with us as a Noahide or something, in the last half a year, and suddenly he started to send me all sorts of very hard things. I asked him what happened. He said to me, "You're all murderers, you're all killing the Gaza people, you're all doing all sorts of lies and everything." So listen, this is enough for me. I'm not going to fight with you. Believe in what you want to believe, leave me alone, and that's it. But there is a very big, I will say, question here that people think that one of the things that we want to do is just to kill those people. And they don't realize, what is it to lose in our country in one day, almost 1,500 people, okay, 3 weeks ago on Shabbat, and 230 people that are hostages. And we're speaking not on soldiers. There are something like 40, 50 soldiers there also. Speaking about people 60, 70, 85 years old, speaking about babies, 9 months old, 3, 4, 5 years old, without their parents, hostages inside the tunnels of Gaza, and reinventing things. It's insane to think about this. They were sleeping in their beds when those animals came inside, and some of them they raped, some of them they killed, some of them they took. What is it? It's what we're speaking about, So we need to tell the world what is evil, what is good, and to be part of this also, of this thing of telling the truth to the world. So it will bring the world to a better stage, and people need to decide. They are in the side of the evil, or they're in the side of the good. We will win it. We have no choice. We have no other choice.
Hashem is with you, Rabbi. Hashem is with Israel.
We have a secret weapon. You know what it is? We don't have any other country to move. By the way,
your backs are against the wall. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. There is also a very, very, very interesting situation where there are almost 35 countries, Arab countries, okay? Egypt, Jordan, Saudi, nobody wants to take those refugees. It's telling us something.
That should scream volumes to everybody. Yeah, nobody wants to take them in as refugees.
It's amazing.
Yeah, think about that. Yeah, why? If so many of these pro-Palestinian warriors, why don't you open your home and take the refugees in? Yeah, nobody wants them anywhere else, and
they're monsters. This is why.
Well, and so you gotta. The only way to deal with some is firmly in this case, and it's the only thing that's going to end it. Because if they let them continue, they're just going to regather, regroup, and retaliate. Or in their eyes, it's plan and plot. Sad.
Fair enough. Okay, I need to go. Everybody have a blessing week, and we will keep in touch. And thank you very, very much for all of your support and everything else. And see you next week.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you for sharing Torah with us, Rabbi. And we pray that you get the rest you need, and that you get the peace of mind, the true shalom, and that things are well with you and your family, and all of Jerusalem specifically. Yes, and so we'll sign out for this week, and we'll see you all next week, Hashem willing. And till then, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Bye for now.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.